Has the government been covering up signs of extraterrestrial life? This week, 3 retired military veterans testified at a House hearing on unidentified anomalous phenomena, what are commonly known as UFOs, now UFAs. 2 of them, a former Navy pilot and a former Navy commander, had seen such objects themselves. They warned these sightings present a national security problem and that the government has been too secretive about them. The third to testify, former Air Force intelligence officer David Grusch, had this exchange with Representative Nancy Mace.
Do you believe that officials at the highest levels of our national security apparatus have unlawfully withheld information from Congress and subverted our oversight authority?
There are certain elected leaders that had more information that I'm not sure what they've shared with certain Gang of 8 members or et cetera, but certainly I would not be surprised.
Okay. You've stated that the government is in possession of potentially non-human spacecraft. Based on your experience and extensive conversations with experts, do you believe our government has made contact with intelligent extraterrestrials?
Something I can't discuss in public setting.
If you believe we have crashed craft, stated earlier, do we have the bodies of the pilots who piloted this craft?
Biologics came with some of these recoveries, yeah.
Were they, I guess, human or non-human biologics?
Non-human, and that was the assessment of people with direct knowledge on the program I talked to that are currently still on the program.
Non-human, he said. The hearing received sharp criticism in a LinkedIn posting by Dr. Sean Kirkpatrick, who runs the Pentagon's recently formed All-Domain Anomaly Resolution Office, or AARO. Kirkpatrick wrote this: "I cannot let yesterday's hearing pass without sharing how insulting it was to the officers of the Department of Defense and Intelligence community who chose to join AARO. Many with not unreasonable anxieties about the career risks this would entail. My next guest has unique credentials in this field, as reported in the New York Times. On January 8 of 2014, a fireball from space blazed through Earth's atmosphere and crashed into the sea north of Manus Island off the northeastern coast of Papua New Guinea. Its location, velocity, and brightness were recorded by U.S. government sensors and quietly tucked away in a database of similar events. Well, last month, Harvard theoretical astrophysicist Dr. Avi Loeb led an expedition that retrieved metallic fragments of the fireball off the western Pacific seafloor. Avi Loeb joins me now. He's the head of the Galileo Project and founding director of Harvard University's Black Hole Initiative. He's the best-selling author of Extraterrestrial, The First Sign of Intelligent Life Beyond Earth. His new book, Interstellar, will be out next month. Dr. Loeb, do you believe the government is in possession of alien spacecraft?
Thanks for having me. Well, it's not a matter of belief. Either they have it or not. And if they do, I think it's inappropriate, because it's just like stepping out to your backyard and finding a tennis ball that was thrown by a neighbor and coming back home and telling your family members nothing about it. Basically, they don't know that we have neighbors. That is inappropriate, because this has nothing to do with national security. It has a lot to do with science. We would like to know if we have neighbors in our cosmic environment.
What would be the motivation of the government trying to keep this under wrap? Is it fear of panic, fear in the country that would be unharnessed? What?
Well, my guess it has to do with the fact that they can't make sense of it, and perhaps they consulted some corporations that have the benefits of being paid by the Department of Defense. Otherwise, I cannot make any sense of it. So they might not have it. We just don't know. We have to see the evidence. David Grusch was a second-hand witness. He heard other people talk about it, 40 of them, and they told him about the programs, but we would like to see the actual evidence before we believe it. And of course, right. I realize that going to the Pacific Ocean might be easier in terms of learning about interstellar space than listening to politicians in Washington, D.C.
I'm going to ask you about your trip in just a moment, but one follow-up. Yes, you're right. He's a degree, Grusch. He's a degree of separation, it seems to me, from those we would most want to speak to. But nothing stays secret these days. Everybody writes a book. Is it really practical to think that we could have alien spacecraft in our possession and someone who'd touched it, feel it, seen it, wouldn't reveal that evidence?
Yeah, it's unlikely unless the government is so incompetent that it can't make any sense of it. So it was tucked deep under secrecy with only a small number of people aware of it. I simply don't know until the evidence will be presented. But the good news is, as a result of the hearing on Wednesday, David Grusch promised to provide the details of the people who had first-hand experience with these programs. So presumably the representatives will get in touch with them, and we will get to the bottom of it in the coming months. So we just have to wait and see.
Take my final 60 seconds and tell me, what do you think you retrieved from the Pacific Ocean floor a mile down?
Well, we used magnets to get some molten droplets from the surface of the object that crashed there. And they were roughly 1 millimeter in size, 1 milligram each. And now we are studying them at Harvard University using the best instruments that the world has to offer. We are collaborating with UC Berkeley, the Brooker Corporation, and the University of Technology in Papua New Guinea. And hopefully within a month, we'll know the composition. And we could tell if this material is different than the one we have in the solar system and whether it's technological in origin. We can, in principle, infer molten droplets from semiconductors, from computer screens, from stainless steel. Just think of it as Voyager colliding with another planet and burning up as a meteor.
Dr. Loeb, a social media reaction. I'm going to put it on the screen and I'll read it aloud in case I need your expertise to weigh in on this. Let's see. If they did have alien craft, why would they hide it? Go ahead, take a second crack at that. I've already raised the issue.
Well, only for commercial reasons or for having some advantage over adversaries, that could be imagined. But as we all know, even the nuclear program was not very secretive. I mean, the Russians knew about it. So I'm still agnostic about whether it's real or not until I see the evidence. And we better see the evidence because scientists are best equipped to make sense of it.